the disclosure that we're providing, and then we're going to go ahead and get started and jump right into this. So I've got some incredible news. A lot of you guys know, and those of you who follow me, I've just been up to my eyeballs in this chat GPT stuff since it came out. I've been following the AI movement before that. And we've had some recent shifts in how we think about AI. And as a company here at GreenChart, we've just been like right on the edge of it. And so today I'm actually thrilled to demo our agent trader, a AI agent that will go out and deploy with multiple tasks and high level intelligent thinking to execute a financial task for you. Now, I know that sounds crazy, and a lot of you are like, oh, that's just, no, wait till you see it. It's going to blow what we just did is making history, and it's going to blow your mind. Like, no question, it's going to blow your mind. But before we do that, I think we should hit some just basic news since Friday. Wouldn't you say, Todd?
Yeah, we can just hit a couple high points.
Okay. I would love to chat really quick about the unemployment numbers. Can we start there? Would that be okay?
Yeah, that's fine.
This is a shocker. We are talking about something that just happened in the last month, that anytime it's hit this number, anytime since 1968, we have had a recession. So anytime we've had continuing claims, this is unemployment. Anytime we've had continuing claims go up, the percentage change year over year, up to 45%, guess what's happened? In gray, we've had a recession. And so it's just a matter of time. This indicator that I'm using since 68 has been 100% accurate anytime it goes over 45%, and it just did this month. Todd, what are your thoughts on this?
Well, yeah, I mean, I'm looking at another chart by the St. Louis Fed, and yeah, I mean, you can see it drop and hit a trough back in September of 2022 at about 1.2 million continuing job claims, unemployment claims. And so what's that? I mean, that's September of 22. So we're
6 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So from there until now, it's according to the Fed, on the April 8th, it was at 1.8 million. So yeah, that's probably close to a 45% jump.
I mean, is this cause to freak out? Is this why the market's been so sideways and we've seen kind of this like low consumer sentiment? What are your overall thoughts on, like, is this a guaranteed indicator, or is there something weird here we might consider that didn't exist the last, what is that, 60 years?
Well, I don't know. I think employment's pretty telling. When unemployment's going up, when claims are going up, that means less people are working, right? That want to work. I mean, you have periods where people just don't want to work.
Yeah.
But I think right now people need to work because of inflation. So I think what comes before this is jobs are ending, right? So what comes before that means businesses are panicking, right? What comes before that? Well, businesses don't have income,
right?
Or businesses have no cash, or they're incredibly up to their ears in debt. And
their runway is just short.
And it just circulates, right? It's a spiraling effect. And so the point of the spiral right now is unemployment is climbing, or the people are claiming, the continuing claims are continuously going up, at least since September of last year.
Right. Significantly, and 45% year over year, which every time it's done that since 1968, there's been a recession that follows.
Well, and the U.S. What's the name of the U.S. the National Bureau of Economic Research takes care of, at least from a government standpoint, determines when we're in a recession. And of course, you've probably heard that to be in a recession, according to the government, we have to have 2 quarters of GDP
Right. Deflated.
shrinkage, right? The GDP needs to shrink 2 consecutive quarters. The last time that happened was, I believe, February of 2020. I'm looking at another report here. Yeah, February of 2020, when COVID was hot, right? When everybody was getting shut down. The Great Reset was happening.
Right.
And so, you know, we've been climbing, you know, GDP's been climbing since then, but employment's been kind of flat, and now it's starting to decrease again. Unemployment.
Yeah, it's interesting. I feel like I had my finger on this even before this report. And something I had heard, because, you know, we're in a tech valley, we're like the Silicon Valley of Utah, right? Thanksgiving Point, they call it Silicon Slopes. And I've been hearing from a lot of companies that they're what's called resume stacking, meaning they've got an HR department. They're still doing all the same means that they were doing before to hire, because it was so hard to hire. Even a year ago, it was like you couldn't find talent. And what's happening is that these HR managers are doing the same amount of resume seeking, and they're hiring no one. They're just putting them in files in hopes that there's some change in the market or that things shift and they get extra runway, and their boss says, hey, you know, you got to hire. And they're like, oh, good, my job's going to be easy. I got 10 great people lined up. But now we're seeing companies like Meta, they're laying off a whole nother set of thousands of employees. I think they're up to like 22,000 now. That they've done since like their layoffs start. And we're seeing a lot of these mid-level tech companies, same thing, where these companies are just going to go out of business. So is this the end of the world? Are we talking
No.
about,
I don't think it's the end of the world. There's actually some good stuff in the news.
Okay, yeah, I want to hear.
So,
because the US looks pretty bleak right now.
Yeah.
You know,
listen, you know, I don't know what's going on with the mainstream news media, but the way the SpaceX launch that happened 6 days ago on the 20th, with the Starship, with SpaceX's Starship, it was a success, and the news is making this sound like it was a flop only because the darn thing blew up, right? It blew up about 4 minutes into its launch, but if you ask Elon Musk, he said, this will be a successful launch if we can get it off the launching pad. That was their goal.
Right.
This is such a huge rocket. I mean, it's listen, this is bigger than
Look at this title.
V.
Look at this title: SpaceX Starship Explosion spread particular matter for miles. It's like the end of the world, this spaceship, this explosion. Why are they doing this?
Now, I don't know.
It's such a huge success according to everyone that works there and their investors. Why is the need doing this?
They can't stand Elon Musk. They will do everything they can to downplay him. And they just don't like him in general. I don't know why. He's so middle road politically, you know. He's just honest about things. He just says it the way it is. And
do you think it's that, or do you think, I mean, they're hunting for taglines? You know, if they put amazing successful launch by Elon Musk and do you think people would click that or that title that we just saw?
I don't know.
I know it's hard to tell these days.
You could be right, but here's something I was thinking about. You know, we are going through tough economic times, and it used to be that America was the leader in space. Well, guess what? As of 6 days ago, we were the leader again because of this. And just a couple of high points. This is an amazing rocket. It's got the capacity to lift 100 to 150 tons of payload.
Wow.
So everybody's like, oh, whoopie-doo. Well, the Saturn V rocket only had 118 tons that it could lift. And, you know, basically when it was done with its job, it just fell into the ocean, right? It was unrecyclable. But this Starship product, it's a huge rocket that will take this payload into space. It can go to the moon. It's got the capacity to actually take us on our Mars missions now and even further. But not the booster itself, it's called, what do they call it? They call it the Big Heavy. So the bottom stage that pushes this sucker up is called the Big Heavy. And the thing is, it's recyclable. So it gets up there and the Starship piece breaks off. And then this other piece comes back down and lands. it lands straight up.
Incredible.
Well, they haven't
So
been able to do that yet, but you've seen them do it with their smaller rockets. SpaceX has successfully done this. So everybody's going, well, what does this have to do with the economy, right? Well, guess what? They're planning on using this to transport goods and services across the world. So get this, you can launch this heavy payload, say 100 tons of cargo, right? On this huge rocket, and take it up to just barely into space, and then just let it float over, say from New York to Tokyo, literally in less than 30 minutes. So in less than 30 minutes, you can launch a payload and deliver it to Tokyo halfway around the world.
So what does this change? What is this? I mean, for entrepreneurs and innovators and people who are going like, what does this change? What is this travel? Is it
communication? Delivery of products. You've got the Pacific Fleet, right? You've got all the fleets that are out there delivering products from one continent to the other. They're going to be out of business in 5 to 10 years. This whole thing's going to change how we move large payloads of products. It's not just what we're going to do in space. It's how the world's going to change. It's just going to get smaller and smaller and smaller. The distances are closing in. This is going to give a boost to America. America's the one that's creating this technology. They're going to own this.
Everybody's just going to iterate on top of it over and over. And like your UK doesn't have anything close to this. I know that.
No, there's several companies that launch satellites,
but nothing like this.
They're not nearly as dependable as SpaceX. SpaceX has got them all pinned against the wall.
Yeah, this is like a legal monopoly they virtually have created.
Well,
I mean, it's legal. They're using their own iterations, but I mean, for the US, I don't see why we're not celebrating this from corner to corner, because it sounds like the race to the moon. It sounds very familiar to one of those wars we had a long time ago that someone said the first one to the moon would win the war.
Well, we did.
And we did. And this sounds really similar. And we've got some other things that I think would save our economy, or maybe even our current currency system. And I wonder if this will be one of them. I wonder if this will be one of the things that contributes.
This and the other thing you want to talk about today.
Well, the other thing that I want to talk about
change our world today
is no question. And we have cornered this market. I want to give you some feedback also. Speaking of our friends at Meta, not to give names and point things out, but we have met with some of the top AI individuals in this space. Like, we're in the Valley. We have companies like Facebook and Adobe and guys who are literally in AI. And we're meeting, we're recruiting, we're looking for team members. And we sat down with one of these guys who was someone that should know everything about AI, right? He works for one of these big companies. And it was shocking to me that he didn't even know what an agent deployment was on AI. Like, he didn't even know what it was. And so what we're going to go over tonight, no question in my mind, is right on the tip of technology. It's right on the tip of where we're going with things. And it's going to change everything. So if you're a trader, if you're someone who's got money that you're investing, if you've got funds being deployed for you by other people, or you're looking for what your next investment is, I have a tool that we have spearheaded over the last 2 weeks that's going to blow your mind. Now, big disclosures, it's in beta. Big disclosures, we're doing tons of testing. But I want you to follow us on this journey, because if you do, you'll be in the one of one, maybe even of 1% of people who are financially investing using AI, real AI technology that you can run on your own computer tonight. So when we're done with this, I encourage you to get on this. I encourage you to deploy some of these agents on your own and just see how freaking powerful this stuff is. Don't get mad at us if this thing crashes. It might do that. Don't get mad at us if this thing gets overwhelmed. It's probably going to do that. I anticipate this thing going highly viral in the next couple of days. But get on early, test it out, share it with your friends. Here we go. Any other plugs, Todd, before I share?
No plugs. No, I just know I can see some circles under your eyes. Man, I know you've been working on this really, really hard with our development team.
It's because the Botox, they won't
Yeah.
put it down here. I put it down. Just kidding. Here we go, guys.
No. This is a big game changer, and I believe this is one of the biggest key future elements of GreenChart. So I'm very, very excited about. I can't believe how quickly this developed. Right?
Oh gosh, it's
we weren't even thinking about this a month ago.
It's scary how fast this has moved and how fast the depth of this is going to expand. Having said that, here you guys can find us. You can actually deploy your own DayTradeGPT agents on our website. You just go to greenchart.com. Up at the top, DayTradeGPT. This link may or may not change in the near future. We're working things out, but you're the first. You're the first here to get on and try this. So just go ahead and click on that. And here is our AI DayTradeGPT. Now, this is not Chat GPT, to be very clear. This is not built on top of Chat GPT. This is a completely different model and approach to go out both to search the live web, to look for real-time data, but also I'll show you, to deploy multiple agents so that you can, make a difference in your investing in your financial future. Having said that, we put a massive disclosure on this. Do not live trade anything that comes out of this. It gives the wrong answers sometimes. It breaks sometimes. It tells you things that just aren't true. It's an AI. It's not 100% right. So it's not ready to be traded yet, but you've got to be following this journey because this is going to change everything. This is going to dismantle. My prediction is in the next year, this is going to dismantle most ways that we invest, like hedge funds and their strategies, money managers and the way they're doing things. It's going to dismantle, and it gives the small guy a huge advantage, because anytime there's dismantling, there's a new distribution of wealth, a redistribution, you could say, of wealth that happens because of a disruption. And there's no question in my mind, guys, this is that. So let me just give you some fun examples. I've been running this all day, and I'm just going to give you some things that you could do on here. And Todd, give me some feedback as we do this, because it's different. This thing's alive. It gives you different answers every time. It goes down different rabbit holes every time. And so we're going to kind of train our little baby AI here and start to mature it. We're going to start to teach it how to kind of grow up a little. So let's do one of the first ones on here. I'm going to just bring this up. By the way, you can see this okay, Todd?
Yeah, it looks good.
Awesome. So I'm just going to start. We're going to do what are the top short-term indicators for Forex? Let's just do that. So we're going to do like Forex. So you're going to name your AI here. And here I'm going to type in what are the top Forex indicators? Just to give us something simple to chew on. Now, what this is doing when I deployed it, let me just bring this down so you can see it. So you're going to deploy it. It's going to start thinking about what goal you just gave it. And then it's going to break it up into intelligent tasks. And it's going to list them. For example, it's doing it right now. Task 1, research the most commonly used Forex indicators. And then it's going to do a second task, analyze the effectiveness of each indicator. And it's going to do a third, create a list of the top Forex indicators based on the research and analysis. And then look what it just did. It went from the first task. It'll complete it over here on the right when it's done. It's thinking about it. It said, hey, after conducting some extensive research, the most commonly used Forex indicators are moving average, relative strength index, RSI, stochastic indicators, Bollinger Bands, Fibonacci, right? Just gives us a bunch of things. These indicators are commonly used by traders to identify the market trends, momentum, and potential entry and exit positions. And then it goes on and kind of it may give some definitions. But it's still not done with the first task. It's still thinking about it. It's like, we really want to get you a good answer on this first task that we created. So it's thinking, it looks like we're into the second task, so it must have liked that. Second task was to analyze the effectiveness of each indicator. So it's going to be thinking about it, give us some answers on this. It's basically saying, I found that the top indicators are moving average. So it's kind of putting them in order, saying most people are using moving averages, RSI is a good second, Bollinger Bands are a third. And then it goes into the third task to create a detailed explanation of how each of the top indicators work. So if you've never heard of I don't know, I know all these, but let me see if there's one that maybe you never heard of. Yeah, I know all these, but let's just pretend you never heard of a Bollinger Band. It's like, oh, well, Teach me about that. I use the other two. Teach me about Bollinger Band. Let's see if it gives us the answer to that. So moving average tells us about a moving average. RSI tells us about the RSI. Bollinger Band tells us about Bollinger Band. Stochastic tells us about the stochastic. MACD. And then these are among the top. Now, it's going to give us now, create a detailed explanation of each Forex indicator, how they work when used in trading. So it's still not done. It's like telling us about, and guys, we can let this run forever. It will just keep going. Like it doesn't stop, but I'm going to stop it. Oh, it's done. Okay, there we go. So it hit the end task, said that we hit our last topic, which had to been to create a list. It went through it. Looks like it went through it 3 times. See how it went 1, 2, 3, back to 2 to 3, back to 3, 3, and then completed. So this thing goes and turns and churns until it feels like the task you've given it, what are the top Forex indicators, is complete. And I would say, if I were to vote, it did that. Wouldn't you say it did that, Todd?
Yeah. Went through some of the most common ones, but really the most simplest ones are the best ones.
Yeah, and you could do simple. You can say, what are the simplest? I want to complicate this a little bit. So you guys are like, well, that's cool. I could probably Google search that and get those answers. You're right. You probably could. But what if I wanted, and here's one that I just copied. I'm going to copy this. We're going to keep the same name. But this time, as the goal, I'm going to type in using a moving average, one of those indicators I just learned about, to trade the Euro US, what would be a good strategy and setting for the indicator based on how long of a target I'm looking for? Interesting. Yes? So let's see if it breaks it into our tasks. We're going to have this little agent go out, deploy some tasks for us. It's going to break this into subtasks all by itself. It's going to take our goal, break it into multiple tasks, typically 3. So it's broken into 3 tasks. I'm going to let it process while I read these. It's going to take this goal we just made, and it's going to analyze the historical data for the Euro US. It's going to do that all on its own and determine the optimal length of a moving average based on past performance. Task 2, it's going to implement the moving average strategy with length determined and simulate trades to test its effectiveness over different target lengths. Then the last thing it's going to do is continuously monitor the market to adjust the strategy and settings as needed. It's basically wanting, and there's some limitations, guys, like this in this current state is not going to do this because it's not on your device. There's some depth issues, but that's what it wants to go do. It not only wants to do what I asked it for, it wants to implement it, and then it wants to put it in place and watch it to optimize all by itself. Well, after task 1, you can see after analyzing historical data on Euro US, it appears that the optimal length of moving average depends on the length of the target. Imagine that. I didn't even tell it that. It just figured it out on its own. And so it's probably going to go out and figure out what a target is. In this case, it says a longer term moving average, such as 100 or 200-day moving average may be more effective. So let's see if it goes and creates a plan for us. Task 2, after conducting analysis on historical data of the Euro US, I recommend using a simple moving average with a length of 50. This length is shown to be effective in capturing a trend without being too sensitive to short-term fluctuations. To implement the strategy, we can do a crossover method. When the price crosses over the SMA, it signals a buy signal. Similarly, when the price crosses below the SMA, it signals a sell signal. To test this, and then it's going to say we're going to go out and test. Okay, now it's created some new tasks because it's been learning, it's been thinking this through, and now it's got a bunch of new tasks. I got to stop this because it will just keep running. I don't want to bore you guys. But guys, it just keeps going. It's doing things that I can get an experienced trader. And I have them. I own another business where we have these coaches that are experienced traders. And they couldn't come up with these answers in a day. It would take them all day to do the research. It would take them all day to drive the answer to a student. And now here it is. How long did it take us? 60 seconds to come up with a good question. All right, it gets better. Todd, you ready to really have your brain blown?
Yeah.
Any questions before I move on? I'm wondering if, from an audience perspective, what are you thinking about this?
Yeah, I'm just wondering if some people watching really don't understand AI, and just in 30 seconds or less, I think we should just explain that artificial intelligence really is the same thing as machine learning. So what we have is we have a model that's been trained in particular to answer certain questions, right? And so we've optimized that. But what it's doing, what's unusual about this is it's asking its own questions. So ChatGPT, as you know, you can put in a question and then it gives you an answer. But with this module, what we've created is the ability for it to ask its own questions. So you only have to give it a goal, and then it considers other questions to ask itself in order to meet the goal.
And
so this is happening, folks. AI has advanced to this level where you can ask a natural language goal and it will take that and create subtasks for itself and solve the problems for you. Our world is changing very, very quickly.
So fast.
Yeah.
And there's some limits to this. In fact, if you guys go to the settings tab, by the way, the version you guys will be able to play with will only give you so many iterations, because otherwise it runs just a ton of processing on our server. It costs us a fortune to have people playing on this for free. So you can actually go in the settings and you can get a key that will allow you to run this infinitely, right? So you can type in your SK key. There's instructions on how to do that here. If you want to really dive in and be using this tool all the time, you can actually get access to that in here. So that helps with the depth, but there are still some depth issues. The AI and OpenAI model only allows us currently, and this will probably change within like a week or a couple of days, but currently only allows us to go 2,000 tokens deep. So if it goes down a really deep rabbit hole, and I'm going to show you some rabbit holes it can go down, like writing code, taking an Excel sheet and putting it in a database and then compiling it and doing like Monte Carlo analyses on it and cross-analyzing multiple strategies. It's too much depth. And so it'll actually cut it off, and then it'll start it over thinking it's complete, and it won't be complete because it's trying to call the first one, and it'll get in these loops. So just know that exists. This is not an infinite token machine. We're not giving people that. We just want you to be able to see how powerful it is. So here's another one I did. So I'm going another level deep, guys. Let's say I've got a software and I just learned about this cool moving average that I want to implement on a Forex strategy, trading the Euro US, but I don't know how to code. You know how to write C++, Todd?
Nope, I don't.
I'd be lying actually to say I don't know C++. I took C++ when I was in 7th grade, but I don't know how to code it well now. I haven't coded for a long time. So like this would be a really helpful tool. Write a moving average script in Python and C++ that trades short-term intraday on the Euro US. Deploy. I'm going to have my little AI coder do this for me. You know, that way I don't have to call my nephew or my uncle who knows how to code for me, or I don't have to pay, $100, $200 an hour to get someone to do this really simple task. So it's going to break it down into tasks, as you're seeing. It's going to do research on like historical data. I don't know what, again, that's probably an unnecessary task. It's going to write the Python script to calculate the moving average and short-term intraday trading. So it's going to like figure this out. It's going to find a short-term intraday moving average, and then it's going to write the script. Okay, it looks like it's working on it. Hello, I've successfully executed. Okay, let's see if it gives me some code here. See how it says marked complete? Just let it keep running. Or sometimes you have to hit stop and redeploy. You have to literally think of them as like individuals. Like this person, if you told them to do something, they would do it their way. But this person over here, if you told them to do something, they would do it their way. And that's why you'll get two different answers hitting deploy, is because how you go about solving for this would be different for each. Here, I'm going to hit stop and let's run it again. If it gets stuck, guys, there's a warning on here also. If it takes more than 30 seconds, just redeploy it.
Hey, Matt.
Yes.
Might work better if you just stick with Python or C++.
Oh, yeah, let's do that. Let's just do C++.
I do Python. It's quicker.
I really don't care. It works. It does both. It does it in moments. It really doesn't take it that long to figure it out. It's incredible. The thing I'm going to do next is going to blow your guys' mind even more. It's like, basically, I'm going to take everything we just did from learning what we did and put it into one statement, hit deploy, and watch what happens. So we've got it deployed. It's writing up the tasks.
So it needs a data source.
Just let it think about it. You know, it's just like an employee complaining to you. He's like, well, I don't know where to go. It's like, we'll go figure it out. And it does. It like goes back out and tries to figure it out. Yeah, it's so interesting how
it's trying to get the data right now.
Yep, we'll let it do it. It's interesting to me how sometimes it just like finds the right rabbit hole the first time and it just, boom, it's done. And then sometimes it's like, nope, that didn't give me what I needed. It goes back out. That didn't give me what I needed. It goes back out.
I mean, this is a pretty heavy task, Matt.
Yeah, we're asking it to code.
Well, it has to access the data somewhere first before it can analyze it.
Yeah, right now, see what it's trying to do now is it's trying to create a strategy because of all the stuff that we fed it. So it's like, okay, here's a strategy because it wants to figure out the numbers. If it's going to do a moving average, it's like, well, what are the numbers going to be on the moving average? What type of moving average is it going to be? Yeah, and see, this happens sometimes. Let's change.
Authorization granted. It got access to the data.
I'm in demo, so it's killing us. Write a moving average script in C++ that trades short-term intraday on the Euro US. Let's get rid of this script for short-term trading. Can you get this up on your screen, Todd? Also, I'm gonna put in my key. I think that might be what's going on, is I'm not getting the depth on it because I don't have my key in. Todd, did I lose you? I just don't want the world to see my key. All right, I'm going to stop. Oh, there it is. It did it. Even in demo, it's starting to do it. Oh, this is the data size. Let's do that, Todd. Just for our audience real quick. Will you take over the screen real quick? I'm going to put my key in.
You want me to?
Or here, I'll just pause it and then put it in real quick.
Yeah, just stop your sharing for a minute and then share back.
I did. Yeah, it stopped, right?
I mean, what you've asked us to do is pretty complicated, Matt. So I think a lot of times, another approach would be to do it in chunks, do it in smaller pieces. Like,
oh no, here's the problem. Let me show you what the problem was. So I'm gonna stop it. So this is real, guys. This is like what happens. So what happened is before I put my key in, it's going to give me these issues. Damn it. Fix that. But it's going to give us these issues.
We'll have to fuzz that out.
Yeah, we'll fuzz it out for loop and tokens. So you got to get your loop up because you don't want to limit how many times it goes through the cycles. So once I have a key and I max it, and I max the tokens also, it's only set to 400 tokens. So that's why it's hitting these walls and then it's looping and not getting an answer. So you max that out. And then what you want to do is let it run. I ran this, guys, for like 2 weeks straight, and like my bill was under $100. I mean, it was so small. It's cheap. It's like fractions of a cent per call. It's really cheap. So I'm gonna do this one more time and see if it runs it. And then while we're doing that, I'm gonna ask the audience, Todd. Let's get some. What do you guys want us to ask this thing? Let's get at least one question from our audience. What's something you would want to have ask the AutoGPT? All right.
Here's one.
Yep. Let's do an audience.
What are the characteristics of a great trader?
Oh, that's easy.
I'm just curious.
Curate some other ones. I'm going to do mine right after this and let it run. Research and analyze trading strategies and habits for successful traders in various markets. Identify the key traits and skills that successful traders possess, such as discipline, risk management, adaptability, and patience. Use machine learning algorithms to model trading behavior. Gosh. It's like, oh, well, once I learn the good characteristics, I'll just model that so you don't have to do it.
Yeah, you could spend hours just sitting in here, right?
Yeah, anyways, we probably need to wrap things up. Let these guys go out and play on this. So just to back it up, guys, if you want to play on this in demo mode, it's simple to get to. Go to GreenChart's website at the top, DayTradeGPT. You're witnessing AI history and trading, and you could tell your grandchildren that you were one of the first to play with a web-based AI for trading. So go nuts and share with your friends. Anything else, Todd, before we wrap this thing up?
No, I'm just excited. I'm excited to actually ask my own questions tonight.
Yeah, awesome.
Messing with this, and please give us your feedback on the channel. If you go to our YouTube channel at Traders Pulse 101, and give us some comments and suggestions on future episodes. We'd love to hear from you. Thanks everybody for joining us tonight. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Todd. Yeah, like, subscribe, guys. Click like, subscribe. Have a good night.
All right, good night.